So it's 7 p.m. Idea is to start on time, finish on time. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. So guys, can you hear us? If you can hear us, you can just speak. Probably some of you are on mute. You can unmute yourself. So we have Boni who has joined in. So probably you can use the chat button on your right. You will be able to see that. So when the session is going on, either you can speak up or you can ask questions in the chat, which we can discuss. Some of you would already be part of a lot of webinars, so for some of you, this would be one of the first experience. So probably whenever you are not speaking, you can mute yourself so it doesn't create the noise. We are recording this session. So once the session gets over, we will put it on the YouTube and the HI website also. And we will mention all the topics that we've been discussing. So all the supporting content will be available. We'll do a first brief round of introductions, and then we take the session ahead with that. So some of you, again, probably you can unmute yourself, and one by one we'll go with the brief introduction for 2-3 minutes, and then we'll have Boni has created a very interesting presentation around this topic. So thank you so much, everyone. Once again, I'm Jatin. I'm one of the co-founder of ECHI. I'm based in Ahmedabad. I'm live from Ahmedabad, but we have friends joining us from different cities also. So if you are able, can you hear us, Raghu? If you can hear me, you can just speak up, or you can mention in the chat. We'll do a brief round of introductions. So Rushid, you are able to hear us. Can you briefly introduce yourself? You can unmute and just speak up.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, this is Ashok Chawda. I can hear you clearly. Right.
Ashok.
Yeah.
Your brief introduction.
Yeah. So my name is Ashok Chawda, and I run a small design and development company here in Surat. Right. So I have attended one of your seminar at ICOWOC.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So and then I got the membership, and now I'm struggling with the content marketing.
Okay.
Right. So in terms of that, like how to get those ideas, because you get the similar blog everywhere. Everyone is writing the similar blog, right? And they are putting on LinkedIn and other social platforms. So I just want to learn more about that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. And probably when you're introducing yourself, you can use the chat and mention about your business. So other people who are live on the webinar, they can get to know more about your business.
Sure,
we'll take a few more introductions. Rushid, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Rushid Shukla. Basically, I am from Ahmedabad. I am running IT company. My company name is Ahref Technologies. That company I'm running from last 10 years. We are basically providing services like web development, mobile application development, and content marketing. Right. So that recently I have joined ECHI. We have attended session in IAM, and it was really good and great. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You can mention your website address in the chat so other people will be able to see more about your work. Pranay, Payal, Rahul, you just joined in. Can you briefly introduce yourself? Yes, Payal. Raghu, Krunal, Xcube Labs. We'll do just 2-3 minutes of this introduction. We'll get started with the session. Yes, Bir, if you can speak up, can you briefly introduce yourself? Probably you'll have to unmute yourself and then speak up. Yes.
My name is Yashbir Singh. Currently, I'm live from Pune. I have recently started my own company regarding ISO certification and consulting. I also do consulting for startups to support them in a long run, because basically startups don't have much idea about how to run a business properly and to sustain in the long run. Because mostly many of the startups, they die or they end up divided after a period of 1 year or 2 years. So to see a team which started the startup and sustain it till 2 or 3 years and gradually expand, that's the idea, and that's how I help.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll do one more introduction and then we'll get started with the session. So guys, when you're not able to, you're speaking, you can mute yourself. Doesn't get the background noise in the session. We'll take one more introduction and then we'll get started with the session. And you can use the chat alternatively. If you're not able to speak, you can mention about what you are doing in the chat. And just a last introduction, we'll get started with the session. Raghu, Krunal, Rahul, Kiran, if you can briefly introduce yourself.
Hey, hi Jatin, Kiran this side.
Yes, Kiran.
Hello.
Yes, Kiran, speak up.
Yeah, I'm a founder and CEO of JY Sympotech Private Limited. We are a company based out of Pune and we are Google Cloud partners. We provide G Suite email IDs, we provide Zoho email IDs, then we develop web and mobile applications on Google Cloud.
Okay.
That's what basically we do. And yeah, I'm having a personal interest in content marketing, so I joined this session.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much everyone for joining in. Probably you can mute yourself. So the flow would be, Boni will run through his presentation about broader topic that he would want to cover for 10 minutes. And after that, we'll get into the questions. Any specific questions you have about content marketing for your business or anything that you would want to know from our experiences or Boni's experiences, you can mention in the chat. We'll take up those in the discussions. And when you are not speaking, probably you mute yourself. And whatever you would want to say, you can use the chat. So with this, typically, if this would have been a physical event, I would have asked everybody to clap together for the speaker. I'll do it from my side, so it records the voice. Boni, brief introduction about what you are doing and then what you would want to say about this topic. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, and Jatin, for having me here. Let me just share the screen and let's just begin the presentation right away. Let me know once you guys see the screen.
You can mention in the chat if you're able to see the screen.
Yeah. It's visible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So my name is Boni Satani, and basically I'm the head of, I look after marketing and one of the partners at Zestard Technologies. It's an e-commerce agency. I call myself as a T-shaped marketer. Like T-shape is someone who has a huge interest in one area of marketing channel, which is SEO for me and link building, and a good interest in other areas of marketing, which is email marketing, paid campaigns and stuff. One of the things that I'm proud of is about hacking Google Knowledge Graph. So this thing that you see here on the right-hand side is something that's an entity. So something that was, open and accessible, editable a few years back, but it's not now. So that's a very brief introduction about myself. So what we are going to cover. So I have a lot of things to cover. But the format is we just want to have like 10 to 12 minutes of run through a PPT deck, and then based on your questions we can come back to the PPT again. So what I want to cover is, first I want to start you and motivate you that yes, there are I just have listed 2 Indian startups, but there are a lot of Indian startups who are knocking down and using these content marketing platforms really well, and they're having a huge traffic. So we'll look at that. We'll look at the basics of content marketing and how to get started, which is the meat part. That's what you want to hear a lot. So let's begin. So I'll share you 2 examples in 2 companies. The first company is this. It's a Software Suggest. It's a startup which is based out of Ahmedabad. I'm not sure if a lot of people know already, but it's a software discovery platform. You can call it similar to Capterra. And right now its traffic is 300K per month. And everything is through, I would say 90% is through SEO and content marketing strategies. This is their traffic. So if you see in just 4 years, they're from zero almost to almost like 300K. That's huge. What they did and what's working for them is they're leveraging SEO quite well from the start. They're producing 2-3 content every week around their product keywords, and the forms of content that they're using are mainly around this. So these are technical terms like how to review post, infographic. So they're using these forms of content, which you'll look at the later part of the PPT, and it's working really well for them. Here's another company or a startup, you can say Sales Handy. Again, it's based out of Ahmedabad, and its current organic traffic is 78,000 per month. Again, pretty huge. If you look at the traffic in just 2 years, 2018 to 20, they've reached from 0 to almost 70,000, which is again huge. And if you look at their websites, again, you will find that they're using SEO quite well. So the basics of SEO, they're producing good content every week around their products. And the forms of content they're using is how to Listicle Post, guides, and eco bets. So
my presentation, when I'll be talking about, different formats of content that we need to use, I'll also share with you examples from these two sites so that you can relate it. And again, go back and see those sites just to confirm that, yeah, this is what the actual it looks like. And something that you can always, copy and save yourself, maybe in your note or something, to look at these two sites who are really doing really good in their own space. So basically, what's content marketing? This is it's a normal definition. You can also look at it Wikipedia, but there are two important parts that I've highlighted. So content marketing involves creating and sharing of content which stimulates the interest in your product and service. So basically the two parts, one is creation, then sharing. And along with that, there has to be a stimulation. I won't go through the benefits. We all know the benefits, and that's how we are here. But ultimately, it's like it helps you to establish yourself as an expert and authority, and it results into overall improvement in your sales, leads, and stuff like that. So how to get started with content marketing, which is the main part. So there are two parts as we discussed earlier in the definition. One is content creation, and then you promote the content. So we'll look at two of these things individually. So let's look at the part one, which is content creation. Within content creation, there are two things that I think will address and help you get started. One is how to find content ideas. I guess one of the guys who introduced at the beginning of the webinar, they had this query where they wanted to have some idea on how to find new content ideas. So hopefully this section would help them. And then there is another section on different forms of proven content, which will help them to identify different tactical things and formats that they can use. So the first is how to find content ideas. So I have recommended 4 methods that you guys can use to identify content ideas. First is keyword research. I'm not sure how many of you are aware about keyword research, but it's an SEO technique. So basically, keyword research refers to something like this, where you take a single keyword, enter it into Google or a Google Keyword Explorer, and it will give you a list of different keywords. You dump all this list of particular keyword into a spreadsheet, and you get a list of different keywords around that thing. So for example, this is a sample keyword research around web designing. So what you see is a screenshot on the left hand side and the right hand side. The difference is on the left hand side, the keywords that I have mentioned, those are categorized as per the intent. So all these are informational intent. That means these are content keywords. And the screenshot that you see on the right hand side has the list of keywords, which includes all the intent. So when we do keyword research, you'll always find keywords with various intents. So one will have a commercial intent, one will have very broad intent, which we should not target. Like shoes is not a keyword that you want to target, but buy red shoes is a commercial keyword that you want to target. And informational keyword would be reasons to buy red shoes for me. So something like that to discover new content ideas for yourself. So if you look at this screenshot itself, you can identify one content idea, maybe how do you design a website. So if you're selling such services, you can have this thing. Then there is another keyword, types of website design. So there's another good keyword that you want to target. And again, besides every keyword, you get a search volume. So that's also helps you understand, okay, how much traffic can I expect once this particular content starts ranking in Google. So keyword research is a really powerful thing. Something that you should master if you're running a startup, or something that you should do at the beginning of every content campaigns. So this is first method. Another method is using some of the tools. Tools will help you do the heavy lifting for you. So here it's a screenshot of a free tool, which is Uber Suggest. So it's created by Neil Patel. So you can go and right now use this tool. I heavily recommend this tool because it's free and has a lot of things that paid tools give, right? So the alternative is Ahref. It costs around like $80 a month. Buzzsumo costs around $300 a month. This guy is giving it free. So what it does is you open this particular tool and you enter. So you see e-commerce, I've written at the middle. So if you write e-commerce And if we click on content ideas, which is highlighted on the left-hand side, it then gives you the list of keywords or content topics that you should write about. So in this particular screenshot, you can see that it gives me example of like 3 to 4 content ideas. One, it gives 7 easy steps to grow e-commerce. Another is the answer is not more customers, it's e-commerce growth level. So you have to play around with it. You do, identify, first prepare a list of seed keywords of say 5 to 10 keywords, dump it into this one by one, and then create a spreadsheet and write down all the relevant titles and see what works for you. The amazing part of this tool is on the right hand side now, against its title, it shows you this Facebook and Pinterest thing. So it tells you that 7 easy steps content had got like almost 25,000 shares on Facebook. And it also tells you how many backlinks it has, right? So over a period of time, your content calendar should be similar to this. Like you should know, like you are writing a content which has a probability of getting shared on the platforms and might help you to get the backlink. So if you like the first 7 easy steps to grow e-commerce sales from Instagram, then and if you think that it's a really good article for your platform as well, then what I would recommend is just give a different angle to this article itself. So maybe it's given 7 easy steps. I would go with say 12 steps to generate sales from Instagram for your online store, something like that, will give additional value on top of this existing article. So this is a handy tool that can help you generate more ideas just in case you are stuck.
Okay.
Then this is this is a screenshot of the same tool, but just a different feature. Again, so I used software suggest, the example that we saw at the beginning. On the left-hand side of the tool, you will again find top pages. So as you can see in this screenshot, there is a top page which is not highlighted, but it is in Traffic Analyzer. If you click on that, you'll get something like this. So it tells you the top pages which are receiving the traffic of that particular website. Now, why you want to do this is because you want to see what keywords and which topics are bringing the highest traffic for your competitors. That helps you to understand that you go and create something similar, but much more valuable, not similar. So whenever I say create something which is already there, I always mean to say that you have to create a 10x of that. That is, add more value, maybe simplified, maybe that existing content is outdated. So go and update it and add more strategies and tips and stuff like that. So
okay.
There is another great idea to identify new topics. And last is score and edit. This is something that a lot of people already know. So you just chip in the keyword and it automatically gives you a list of a lot of keyword ideas that you should start writing about. So this is a quick section on how to find different content ideas. Once you have, let's walk it through together. So consider you have an Excel sheet now, and you have all these different titles that you listed down from this whole activity. Now let's look at like what different forms of content has been working in the industry, something that you can now use. Out of 100 or maybe 50, you have to pick up like 5 best that you think will work really well for the industry. So these are the 9 different content formats that are working really well right now and is used by a lot of companies to get quick traffic or like sustainable traffic and everything in terms of SEO. We'll go through one by them. So first is my top favorite, and it works really well. I'm seeing this technique working really well for almost now 3 years. I thought 2019 would be the end of this activity because it was used a lot of, like, the SEO guys have been using it a huge, but it's still working, and I'm sure 2020 it's still going to work. What it is, it's basically you have an expert roundup. So say, I guess some of the guys in the chat say they are into this whole cleaning industry. So what that person can do is maybe he can identify 20 home improvement experts either through Instagram or Twitter, wherever they're active, and reach out to them and ask them like, what are your top 3 cleaning tips or maybe what are your top 3 tips to ensure that you have a good house when you go on a vacation, something like that. So that which is related to your audience and to your services. And what that does is those guys will come back to you and give you their 3 tips. And ultimately you just have to create a normal post and summarize their tips and techniques. So I'll just, let me just, open it up.
And all the tools that we are mentioning, we will write an article tomorrow with this recording and we will mention all the tools. And probably Boni has a good discount for some of these tools.
No, I don't run these tools.
But you would have a discount code for some of them?
Yeah, possible. So this is what I was talking about. You can see the screen, right?
We are not able to, we can see the presentation.
Okay, let me.
Yes, Manish, we will be sharing the PPT.
So this is a similar article, expert roundup. So this is of our client who is into change management space. So we asked 13 experts, which are this, and told them to share with us the change management tips. And like they responded like this. These are the actual responses of their emails. What happened with this was, so John Cooter is actually a big guy in his space, and generally when you reach out to an expert for a quote or advice, they're happy to give it because you're telling them that you will be mentioning them on your website and then you'll be promoting it. So first, they are happy to provide. Second, when they provide and when we publish this article, we go back and tell them that, hey, we published this article, you might want to share it. So these guys then go and share it on their own social media platforms. Why? Because they look good, because they are called an expert. So this technique is really nice, and it not really gives you a traffic, very quick traffic. Like it's an effort, of course. Say if you reach out to 50 people, then 20 people will respond to you, but it's a worth an effort because these influencers, imagine if just 5 people of this 20 list shares your content, you have a good social proof for your startup, which you can use it everywhere. You go out and pitch to someone, you can always say this guy in my industry who is an influencer shared my content. So it's a huge motivating thing for for everyone when they start creating content. So huge recommendation for this form of content.
Run through some of them and then we'll get to the questions.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Another format that I would recommend to a SaaS-based product company or even a service-based company where competitor is really strong is to write a comparison post. A lot of times customers will come to and say why your company and not another company, and that's where you can always point out to this article that, hey, just go and look at this article. I know what you're saying and I know the problems that you're facing. So it's very easy to convince them when you write a comparison post. So specifically product companies where you have a huge competitors, comparison posts are going to help you go through very fast to some of the customer queries. So right that. So here's so again, this is from SellSendy, something that we saw at the beginning. SellSendy, when they started, they had a lot of huge competitors. So they went and write a lot of, comparison posts, which helped, immediately divert their customer queries to articles and convince them that it's a good service. It helps you highlight your USP compared to your competitors. So that's one. Another is a listicle post. So it's a very popular form of article format, which a lot of people don't know in the technical terms. So listicle post basically means an article which is like top 10 things around something. So 10 things you didn't do when you were 18, something like that, or something like 22 everyday things you've been doing wrong. Such forms of content works really well on social media platforms in general, because people on everywhere, they just don't have a lot of time. So they just want to, quickly walk through different things that they want to look at it and go and run the article. So there is a scientific reason why such forms of content works really well. One of the scientific reason is that the article title itself has 22. So when as a human, I see something very specific, the mind likes it, and that's why they go and read it. So in general, if I give you two titles, 10 things you don't know about SEO and things you should know about SEO, then you would probably click the one with 10 clicks. So that's the idea behind the Listicle Post. Again, an example from Software Suggest he's using very well. Another format is exclusive guide. We all know this particular form of content. It's been there since long. Exclusive guide are generally a very long form of content, like probably 2,000, 3,000 plus words of content. You may be questioning, like, is it still worth writing a huge form of content? Then my answer is this analysis, which was done by Buzzsumo. So Buzzsumo did an analysis of a lot of content, and what they come up was a content which has an average length of say around 1,000 words. It got less than 5K shares, but a content which had like 3K plus words had the shares which were around like more than 7.5 thousand. So that's a huge number. So we may be thinking like long form of content doesn't work, but data says it works. So yeah, so that's why it's important. And in general, it helps you prove yourself as an authority when you write like 3,000 words of content. So that's where it's very important. So there's an example from Sales Handy where they have written an article on cold email. It's a definitive guide and probably around 3,000 words of content. Really interesting article. Like look at the structure, formatting, you'll love it. Another evergreen form of content is how to post. Like there's something like since we came into the online world, we see this form of content. But hey, this is evergreen format, so it works really well because there is a problem and then you're solving it. So that's how the how to comes into place. Software Suggest and Sales Handy, both these platforms or startups, I would say 70 or 50% of the content are around this. So if you think it's not working, think again.
Okay.
So it's an example. Video content we all know.
This is something that everybody would want to know.
Which one? Video content.
Video content, yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I couldn't find an example of Software Suggest and Sales Handy using video content. But yeah, video content is something like it's working really well because if you look at the Facebook feed itself, they're promoting video. Instagram is promoting video. TikTok is promoting video content. So there is a huge opportunity if you start creating content. You don't have to have a very polished video. I see a lot of people now just have a camera in the front. They start recording the content and just do the minor edits, and their video looks really well. So that is something that you should focus on. It's a lot of effort. I understand video is not something that comes easily to create, but that's what the platform wants to promote. So probably investing maybe 20% of your effort into this.
So Boni, probably 1 or 2 minutes and then we'll get to the questions.
Sure, no problem. Another great format is a research post. Research posts are like a data-driven post where you do an analysis in your industry and then come up with an insight that, hey, this is what's working. So research post again works really well because people again love specificity and data. So when you say then and then prove them that, hey, this is how I have done it, then people like it and they like to share it. So this is an article, firstborn child is most intelligent. It had like 5 million shares on Facebook. Just there are 2 to 3 angles. It was a research post. Like they had some data to prove that the firstborn child is intelligent. Second, what they did was they did an ego betting. So every firstborn child who will come across this article will share it on Facebook because it makes them look intelligent. So there are 2 angles with this article which they did really well. Here's an example from Software Suggest where they did a half-yearly review of their SaaS customer reports. So they had this SaaS customers and they did analysis. So there is something that, so such articles are really unique. You don't find it anywhere, and hence you can easily get traffic and links.
Okay.
Infographics is something that we all know, visual form of content. It's dying slowly. It doesn't have that impact nowadays like it used to have 2 to 3 years back, but it's still very effective and much better way to communicate certain things.
Okay.
Here's an example again from Software Suggest where they used infographic. A quiz, probably very rarely used, but it's very interactive form of content, and you'll get a lot of people in just short period of time using this thing, quiz. But it's hard to create, and you don't know if it go viral or not. So like this is a very general example that I've given, but for your industry, you can always say that how well do you know SEO? Check out this test. So you boost, check their ego, work without that ego. So if you are into say cleaning industry, like how well do you know how good a cleaner you are, something like that. And then if you're really good, like if I get 10 out of 10, I would be happy to share it on Facebook. So that's how it gets viral.
Yep.
These are the tools that will help you generate catchy titles. I just want to give you a demo of this tool because it's a really nice tool. So if I enter a subject, say here, cleaning. Okay, so it says true facts about Justin Bieber's love of cleaning. It's a very, so it's not relevant, so I'll just click it. Save your marriage, use only cleaning. So again, it's a very different title that suggested. Again, it's a very different what everyone is saying about cleaning. So, play around with this, but they have really fantastic adjectives. Nowadays, the importance is now on creating a very catchy title that people will click. And these tools will help you to get. Like why cleaning is key. Again, Hillary is a different thing, but you can come up with something here, right? So that's the goal. So all these tools that I have suggested in the slides are going to help you come up with such titles.
Awesome. Boni, probably we'll take on the questions and probably we can revisit the presentation.
Sure. Yeah.
So first of all, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll get to the questions. So everyone, typically, if you attended a physical EHI meetup, so this is something what we would do to encourage people to ask good questions. We request our guests to announce some sort of a reward for the best questions. So Boni, what is the reward you will give to someone who's going to ask good questions in the webinar?
Absolutely. So I would love to help. So since it's a content marketing, people are here to learn the content marketing thing. I'd love to prepare so we have a standalone service, content marketing calendar, that we sell it to customers. So I'd love to prepare that calendar for you. That calendar includes the topics, main keywords, search volumes, whether it's a good article for outreaching and backlinks as well. So like I would love to do it for someone who has a very interesting question. So done it for you. Plus, if you have any questions like on one-on-one, we can always chat that.
Okay, that was nice. So folks, you can ask question in the chat. I'll start with 1 or 2 questions and we'll take the session ahead. So Boni, you mentioned about getting the idea for content and what kind of a content. So one of the challenges that people face is they are able to create the content, but how to distribute. What are your thoughts?
Super. Okay, so for distribution, so again, I have this thing. So I'll just have one slide on distribution.
Yes, please.
Let me.
and folks, if you have any question, you can mention in the chat. Meanwhile, we'll take on that questions. Yes, Boni.
So you very rightly asked. This content creation is just 50% of the effort, and 50% is actually content promotion, which is a huge thing. A lot of people can easily create content, but then a lot of people have a hard time now facing the content. So these are the techniques that we use internally for content promotion. So one is influencer outreaching. So for example, say you have pretty nice content on exclusive guide of say cleaning industry. Now you want to reach out to say 50 people in your industry who are an expert in this thing, particular field, and email them, hey, we have created this particular content. Would you like to review it or not? Something like that. You don't even have to include a link in your first email, but you just send a normal without any link email that, hey, you want to review it or not? If they say yes, so there's a conversion of like 2 to 5%, not huge. So please be okay with that. But he's an influencer, so understand that he is not going to reply everyone. But imagine out of that whole list, at least 2 people will say yes. And if they like your content, they will promote it on their social media handles. So that's a huge thing for you. Another thing that we do
that on Twitter sometimes works really well. You tweet with the link, and sometimes the only thing they have to do is RT. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a pretty hacking the whole outreaching part. Another thing that we do is author outreaching. So similar to influencer outreaching, where you reach out to influencers, in author outreaching, I would reach out to authors who written article on a similar topic previously. So again, taking the same example on cleaning guide, if someone has written an article similar to that previously, I would reach out to them and say that, hey, we written a similar article like you, and would love to feedback. And if he say yes, like I would like to see and love to give feedback, and if he likes that article, then you can again in the subsequent email ask him to share your content. You may have a question like why would someone share it, but frankly speaking, in general, if you think when you reach out to someone as a feedback, they always like it, and unless like there's a fierce throat competitor, they won't share it, but otherwise they're more or less happy to do it. Most of the times these are freelance writers who were not associated with huge companies or something like that, so it generally works. Another thing is a resource-based link building. So again, say you take an example of cleaning service guide. Resource-based link building refers to I would identify a listicle post on top 10 best articles around cleaning, right? So for example, I'll prepare a list of such articles, like which are the top 10 best articles, top 10 something like this, and I'll reach out to those section of people and ask them like, can you include my article in that particular list? So that's resource-based link building. Let me give you an example.
Okay. Boni, there are a few more questions. We'll take some questions.
Let me.
Yes. So at least the folks who are live in this webinar, you can reach out to Boni. Boni is also influencer in certain categories.
I'm not. I mean, Jatin is kind enough to say that, but I'm not. Okay, so this is an article. It is on Crazy Egg. So this author was writing an article around must read, excuse me, analytics blogs. So basically they had listed down various blogs around analytics industry. So similar to, so you have to identify such type of articles by Googling, like where you can list down your article by reaching out to that particular. So I reached out to this particular author, her name is Sharon, and said that, hey, can you all list down my company's website? So this was something where I used to work previously, and she accepted. So it's a pretty huge, like it's a high DR website in the industry. So okay, this is what it's called resource page link building.
Awesome. So Boni, there are many questions.
Sure.
You can try to give brief answers to it.
Sure.
Stop the screen share. Can you?
Just one last I would like to add in that promotion. So Harrow, I'm not sure how many people know Harrow, but if you don't know, then my huge recommendation for you guys to start using Harrow today itself. The reason I tell you is, let me just open the website and Harrow. So this is my live spreadsheet that we are having. So Harrow is a helper reporter out. How it helps is basically Harrow sends you 3 emails every day from journalists. So journalists do not always have expertise of a lot of things. When they need expertise, they reach out to such platforms and they write a query and say, hey, I need an SEO expert to, tell me 3 tips on how to optimize in 2020. And you just have to respond to their queries like with a short answer. And if they like your answer, they will include your answer. So let me just share with you something that recently, so CMS Wire, it's a huge website, 83 DR and traffic is 50,000. And they recently, so they had reached out and they recently included one of our answers in their list. So, and it was the first in the first paragraph.
Wow.
So please use this. Heavily recommended for startups. If you don't understand, if you are facing an issue, feel free to reach out to Jatin and me, because like it's a low hanging fruit that I don't see a lot of people using it, and like it's very easy. It doesn't require any SEO knowledge or stuff like that. So yeah, so I would end up with this. Rest of the things you guys know already probably since you're into the startup space. But yeah, this is something that we use, or I would recommend to use for promoting your content.
Awesome. This was very helpful, Boni. Boni, can you read the questions?
Sure.
The chat button,
Sure.
you'll be able to see.
Yeah.
So probably if you can read out louder, so those who are not able to refer the chat, they can also know the question and what is your answer to it, one by one, and very briefly.
Sure. I don't know. I don't see chat.
Okay, I'll start with one question, and then meanwhile you can. So okay, Pranay has asked a lot of questions. We'll start with one. Can TikTok work for SaaS marketing? Probably you can stop the screen share.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason. Okay, now I see the chat. Great.
Okay.
So will TikTok
work for SaaS marketing?
Good question, tricky question. I don't have an experience for TikTok specifically yet. So there is a lot of thing and questions around the kind of audience that's been there on that particular platform. So it's still a very young audience are spending. So a lot of people say that it still has a young demographic. It doesn't have a senior demographic or a serious buyers kind of a thing. But I don't agree with that. I myself is a TikTok user and I am a serious buyer. So it may probably work. And I would say that you have a pretty good chance to, leverage and be a leader if you're very serious about creating video content, because all of these platforms, Instagram, when it came, nobody thought that it could be a pretty good marketing platform. A lot of people thought, hey, it's just an image platform. So same with TikTok, because these platforms, they want to earn money. So they need to have marketers there. And for marketers to have, they need to make it platform where they promote such content. So it may not work immediately, but it should work for that platform over a period of time. One of the best guys to follow on TikTok for such things is Digital Pratik. Like he has like 500,000 followers on TikTok, and is doing really well. So
okay, but he's not a SaaS founder.
Not a SaaS founder. He's just a digital marketing guy. Yeah.
Okay. So just to add on to that, sometimes it will depend on the kind of business you are in or kind of objective that you have. So if you're doing a SaaS product for video creators, this is the platform. So what kind of business that you would want to do and what is the objective? So probably the objective is to hire a young talent. So probably for a SaaS business, getting a customer is one use case, but getting good talent could also be interesting one. So probably if you can do that and do some interesting experiment, that could be the way to go. But anybody who's watching this live stream or on the chat, if you know any SaaS companies doing good marketing, leveraging TikTok, you can mention in that so all of us can learn more from that. We'll take on the next question. Rahul has asked the question. Boni, can you read it?
Yeah. So Rahul has an interesting question again. Recently, Neil Patel wrote an article and says that video content is not going to work that much. However, voice and speech content will be the key in 2020. What's your take on that? So, yeah. So, so again, so Neil Patel is an amazing guy. He's produced a lot of videos. So, what he means to say with that is, now a lot of people are producing videos, so the market is getting saturated, and that's why you won't get that visibility now that it used to get last year or before that. It's going to work, but the reach is going to reduce. So that's one. Second, with voice and speech, he was referring to podcast. And what he was trying to say again is that podcast is not something which is being used by a lot of people. A lot of people are now doing videos, but they are not on the audio platform. So that's why podcast will give you a more reach compared to a video content. So in a way, in this way, I agree with him that, and his take is pretty right, that because you don't have a lot of competition with the audio part, it's going to give you more visibility. So yeah.
And podcast is slightly easier to produce with the advent of a lot of this tools.
Absolutely.
It take a lot of effort. So you can experiment more in a podcast. Varun has asked this question. What is better form of content? Creating a highly researched blog post versus a quick animated funny video? Good question.
Every time it will be a highly researched blog post because so there are 2 to 3 things. So I'm doing a comparison with the animated funny video. highly researched post mainly because it helps you establish yourself as an industry authority. So when you have something which is very data backed, data research, and you're trying to prove something with some data, then people immediately starts to look at as an industry expert, because then you're coming and breaking down and telling something which is new to people. So always highly researched post. Quick animated funny video is going to help you get some views maybe immediately, but it's not going to help you establish yourself as an expert, because and being in a startup, you really want to have yourself to be an expert, right, to for a longer game. So always a research post, but
Okay.
it's a lot of effort.
There are a lot many questions, Boni. You'll have to do a rapid fire.
Sure.
Okay. How to make sure that your blog comments don't get removed?
So I assume this is the part where content promotion is happening. So if they're getting removed, then it means that it's not adding value to their blog. So we just have to ensure that your comment isn't something where you just putting your link. In fact, you're adding some value, and it's not always about adding your website link. Sometimes what happens is people also just, if they like your comment, which is really good, they'll always do a Google search and see who you are. So probably the idea is to have a really good, valuable comment. And if it makes sense, where someone has written an article and you think that you can always say that, hey, you missed out this particular thing, or hey, I discovered something which might be helpful or be a good part of this article. Here's the link, something like that. So strategically placing the link would be help and would ensure that it doesn't get removed.
Okay, lot many questions, Boni.
Sure.
Samuel was asked how to create contents when your target audience are in a different geographical area. What should we consider to get most reach?
Cool. So Samuel, so content marketing ideally is not geography based in general. Like if you write a content for an English speaking audience in general, so whether he's from US or maybe India or of any South Asian countries, the goal is to rank that particular content for different for that one particular English speaking keyword. So for example, if I'm writing an article around, say, what is SEO, I just want to ensure that my article around what is SEO is ranking in google.com, ranking in google.india, in Australia, and stuff like that. So the goal, so you won't have to write different forms of content for different audiences and countries. You just have to ensure that you have pretty good content, have a good outreaching done to get the backlink, so that Google feels that, hey, it's a pretty good content that I can rank for different their Google, different versions of the different Google countries. How to rank for different Google countries, it's a very different next level topic. One of the things that people say in general is they look at the backlinks from where they're coming from. So if you want to rank their content in Google US, you need to have a good amount of backlinks from that particular geography in general, and maybe some backlinks from other parts of the world. So it's a very dicey area, how to rank your content in different geographies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Janani, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. She has asked, what is the time frame for updating your keywords in our web pages blogs to keep our SEO updated?
Pretty nice. So ideally, so you can revisit your articles every 6 months, but that's a lot of manual effort. Let me just, so there is one tool that just came up like 3 days back. And I would suggest, manually, you don't have to manually maybe think of doing or updating these articles. You can every 6 months just look at your competitors and see if they added something new, if they have anything interesting. Apart from that, there's just one new tool in the market. I will add the link in the slide. It's Content Decay. What it does is it automatically analyzes and tells you which article in the last 12 months has gradually reduced its traffic. Okay. So get a report directly that this article from Google Analytics is reducing traffic by this much %. So that's your updating article. So that is something that you can use and automate.
Okay. Pooja has asked, any specific content measuring tool apart from Google Analytics, social media insights to know how well has content performed?
Right. Again, fantastic question. So apart from Google Analytics, what we generally do, so we want to measure the engagement of how well people are there. So Google's metric, average time on page, isn't that useful. I want to see how many seconds or time they use. So we implement two things on the particular content, which is again used within Google Analytics. One is how much percentage of the content is read by that particular user. So there is a Google Analytics script that tells me that, okay, the person has read like 30% of the content or 40% of the content. And another thing that tells me that how many exact seconds the person has done. Google Analytics, in Google Analytics, the average time on page is actually not the average time on page. So there is a technical difference, which I may not be able to explain right now because it's a long thing, but you have to implement another script just to understand exactly how many seconds that guy spent on that page if he is actually bouncing back off. So we implement those two things just to understand how well the content is performing, and maybe I can again, you can reach out to me. I'll share that exact article which will help you implement those things.
Okay, Chandresh has asked a very good question. Is there a secret recipe to get your content ranked in 0th position? Do you have any example where applying some tactic, you got your article into 0th position, and how it would have impacted on your business, like signups or downloads?
Super question. So a lot of discussions around this. So there are two things generally that works to get that featured. So one.
And if you can explain what is it, so some people would already know. Some people.
Yeah, sure. So let me just. I'll just do a screen share.
Yep.
What is?
Sharing the screen?
Just a second. Yeah.
Yes, don't share any of your secret.
No. I was actually searching in Google. How to type. I don't see that snippet.
A lot of digital marketing experts would have done digital marketing trends in 2020.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so guys, this snippet that you see at the top, it's called a featured snippet. You know, a lot of people like it, normal users, because you don't have to click. It just gives the trends. We search trends, and Google's goal is to give everything on the front page. So they just scrap it up and put it here. So it's a featured snippet. Marketers like it because, you know, against all the different articles, this has the highest amount of space. So there is a huge chance that a lot of people will click only this article, like compared to other articles. So the question is how to get this snippet. Now, there are three things to keep in mind. Number one is to get this particular snippet, first of all, on the first page itself, your article ideally has to be on the first page. So if your article is on the second page, you're not considered for this position. So first of all, if you are not on the first page itself, your goal has to be like, let me get to the first page of the Google ranking for the money keyword. Once if you're reached on the first page, your goal is to implement two things. One is let's see if those two things are here. So they don't have it. So Google has nicely scrapped this thing, but.
So Boni, has that happened with some of your content that you created?
Yeah. So
that was the question, and how it benefited you.
Pros of So I'll show you a screenshot of one of the.
Yeah, so probably the concept people got. So that has happened, and how it benefits your organization when that happens.
So ideally, we haven't seen a huge uptick because the keyword that we targeted, or keyword for which it started showing, didn't have a lot of search volume. And I mean, we are not routinely tracking
Okay.
how we are ranking with the search snippets in general.
Okay. So, Boni, we are in the last 5-10 minutes of the session. So probably quick rapid fire, and then probably we'll take a lot of these questions once we put up this blog post tomorrow.
Sure. So here's that screenshot. So we're ranking for this pros of accelerated mobile pages. So it's on our Zestard blog, and like it was 5 pros and cons of accelerated mobile. So it happened. There are 2 things that you can do. One thing is you create a table of content. So you create a table, you put everything, your tips into table format at the top of the article, like after the introduction. And second you can do is, if you want to rank for what is different types of feature snippet, you have like, then you have to write around 50 words of article, not article, but a sentence or paragraph around that particular topic. So if you want to rank for what is SEO, you want to have a section of what is SEO and then 50 words of description right below that, because Google is going to scrap that whole section and show it here. So
Okay.
that's how it's going to help you.
Boni, next question. Will Haro work for SaaS promotion?
It will work for every industry. Just go and do it.
Next question. We'll do rapid fire. How to start with writing storytelling posts on LinkedIn and other social media?
Okay, so I don't have any secret recipe. Even I am struggling with this thing. It's not an easy job. The only thing that I do is I have a copywriter. Like I look at few people who do it really well. So people I follow is Brian Dean, occasionally Neil Patel, and I just look at how they start their writing, and I probably copy their format really well. So if you don't know something, be a really good imitator of someone and then modify it based on you. So, and writing is something where, you know, you improve over a period of time. Nobody is a good copywriter. You have to be like, you have to have that 100 articles gone out and written, and then you are really good.
Okay. Very quickly, what are the good resources, tutorials to master content marketing, especially for SaaS B2B, and the popular ones and not so popular ones that you found very valuable?
Yes. So I would heavily recommend Brian Dean's articles. Who is into, so Brian Dean's articles are not around SaaS based B2B specifically, but his techniques and his strategies and things or tutorials are really good. That applies to almost all the industries. So I've seen a lot of companies in the SaaS based B2B space using their techniques and like the formats, and it works really well. So Brian Dean from Backlinko, that's my #1 guy. And another guy that has recently, you know, started that I'm following is Ryan Stewart. Again, he doesn't write specifically for SaaS B2B, but his content is really good. He's from Webris.org.
Okay, we'll take some questions, but it has to be have a one line answer. We'll keep extra 5 minutes. What is the minimum time for writing an informative blog of 1,000 words?
Pretty awesome question. There is no, I mean, if you are just starting out, so there's something that, so I've been through these things, so that's why I like these questions. So there is no really one answer to this. If you're just starting out, 1,000 words can take you 2 days, maybe even 3 days, because so it's not about the words that I'm looking at, I'm looking at the quality part of the content. So please do not forget, the length is important, but then the quality is super important. So if you're just starting out, it may take maybe 3 to 4 days. My article on Search Engine Journal was actually written spaced out over a period of 1 week. So I was just writing few paragraphs every day, like based on my mood or something. So if you're a pro, probably, you know, easily crank out in a day or half. So it depends on how good you are, but if it takes you a week, maybe half a week, it's still good.
Okay. Boni, can you read out 1 or 2 questions? Else my voice would sound very monotonous every time I'm reading out the question. 1 or 2 questions you read out, and then we'll sum it up. And tomorrow we'll do this video. Yeah. The most recent one, if you can read out.
Yes, sure. So someone suggested, what's your opinion on podcast as content medium in India? I would like, yes, I am inclined to podcast for Indian audience. One of the best things is right now, a lot of people are not doing podcasts targeting the Indian audience, so it's a great opportunity. Go and do it. You may not find a lot of audience. You think you won't find a lot of audience, but there are already a lot of people in India who are listening to outside podcasts. And outside guys are, they love Indian audience because it's huge in numbers, and they keep them seeing it. So go and do it. You'll automatically find a podcast audience. So I would incline with that. And can you please suggest a good podcast tool to begin as a beginner? I guess Amplify was a tool. Let me just. So I haven't done podcast, so I have a very limited experience.
SoundCloud, Anchor podcasts.
Yes, Anchor.
These are very interesting ones. Now Spotify has acquired Gimlet Media, so they are betting big on the podcast also. And they've acquired this Anchor app also.
Correct. Second to what Jatin said.
What's the impact of writing regional language content? Will Google identify it? If I search in English, will this pick up a Hindi article?
Not my forte. I'm not sure how. So the only thing I can share is the various regional websites, news websites, they do write in their own regional languages, and they do get picked up, but I'm not sure how good that works in the SEO format. So I won't be able to, I don't have a huge experience on that part.
Okay, Boni, we'll do last two questions. Chandresh has asked a good question. What would really love to get few quick tips for a reach out emails, how long the email should be. Would you mind sharing a reach out email example, probably the crazy egg one you did for Tatvik Analytics?
Sure.
Or you can just share the tips, else we'll run out with more time.
Okay, so let me just open that. Let me open one slide.
Please do it.
So I have that thing in one of the slides, which I actually did it at Tatvik itself.
So keep it on the slide, so people will watch the slide also. And there was another good question. Pranay has asked. Okay, can you get to that?
So this is what I generally recommend when I talk about outreaching to a lot of people. Your email has three things. One is your subject line. One is the person whom you're reaching out, so the right contact details. And the third is your content. So you need to nail the subject line. We have found that quick question, quick suggestion about your post, they generally get a good open rate. So maybe you have something. So you may question that, hey, this is not good, but trust me, just start out with this and then manipulate based on your experience. So whenever I learn something, I just use whatever is recommended and then I move ahead. So use some of this. Have a very short and to the point email. Let me show if I have a snapshot here. So this is an example email that so this is something that I would send to an influencer. Like, hey, Brian, I know you get tons of emails, so I'll keep this short. So this was for a VPN industry guy. We published something on VPN that I think you would be interested in. Would love to get your feedback. Mine can I send? So you just see a lot of things are happening. Very short email. I just said that I would love to have your feedback. I didn't send a link. There was a personalization at the end that was PS, love your daily podcast. I just recommended to a few of your friends. So there's an actual email that I sent. So the goal is to tell that used a very short and to the point email. Boost their ego, super important. Let them know that you appreciate your work and you know them. End your email with a feedback, like I would love your feedback. Don't send anything directly, a link when you're reaching out to someone. Track your emails. If you're sending out 100 emails, you want to track it through some tools. There are a lot of free tools here. So these are the three tools: Signals, Mailtracker, Strict, and the fourth one is Sales Handy itself. So you can use those tools to track. Take 2 follow-ups. A lot of people just send one email and that's end. No, that's not the end. You take follow-ups. You send it.
Get a response from Brian.
From whom?
Brian, the example that you mentioned.
This one?
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
Yeah. So this works really well. Like if we, like there are a lot of examples in the actual Gmail, maybe some other time. I can open up that email account and show
We'll do
you.
a part 2 of this webinar.
Based on the feedback. But yeah, and there is a follow-up email that we send. Again, very short. You were thinking like, ye kaisa email hai, but this works. So I'm not sure if you read my, so just bumping up there. Would love to know your thoughts, and it works.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. There are a lot many things that we would want to discuss, but probably we'll do a repeat of extended version of what we are discussing. Boni, just to summarize, probably we can stop screen from your side. Okay,
sure.
Fantastic. Which question was good?
I have so I like the tricky one, which was for me how to rank your article on different platforms, even to say different country and for different audiences. So like that was a very tricky one. It's not easy to rank for different countries and for different audiences.
So those the person who has asked this question, please reach out to either me or Boni.
Yeah, I would love to help you out. Yeah.
Just a small disclaimer: I'm not responsible for you getting the reward. We are just still have to follow up with the Boni. But the good thing is the webinar, this is getting recorded. So Boni has agreed to this.
I will.
And thank you so much. Just a last minute announcement for the ECHI. So this is the 11th year for us in ECHI. So for the first 9 years, it remained a small, interesting, nice initiative. Suddenly, ECHI has exploded in last 1 year. So we do a lot of these meetups across 20 cities in India and another 20 cities outside of India also. So our global avatar is phenomenal because in India, we slogged for a long period. We were a small, nice community initiative. But our global avatar is phenomenal. Where any meetup we will do, probably the only discussion I'm having with our venue partners are that bring less people to these programs. So at ECHI events, we are introducing a lot of interesting things. We will do a lot of these webinars. And you'll be able to see the city and the events that you would want to attend. Also, we are introducing this proposed event feature. So for example, as of now, what happens, we announce an event and then we go about marketing and let's see how many people attended. But we would want to double down on this proposed meetup. So for example, on 22nd of February, we are proposing 4 meetups. So 15 days before this date, if you know that, there are 10 people interested in UX design, there are 10 people interested in e-commerce. So we will go and execute or organize these programs. Or any programs that you would want us to organize. That, Manish has mentioned, do a webinar around email marketing. So probably the more suggestions that you give us and what kind of things that you would do. So one expertise that we are building at ECHI, we could bring good speakers, we could execute good content. So anything that you are looking for specifically, you let us know. So probably we could organize if there is enough interest. And there are a lot many more things that we will do. So with this, some of you are already annual members of ECHI. Some of you have taken up a day pass. So our idea is that now our annual membership is 2,000 rupees plus GST. So you can attend the events that you would want to attend, ECHI events or a partner event. And if you're not able to attend enough events, probably so that your membership will get carry forward. So idea is that you get enough value from what you are paying to us. So and every year we increase our prices. If you're not a member yet, probably you can become one. And probably you can go to a proposed event. You can let us know if you would want to attend, and we will do those things. We extended this webinar by 8 minutes, but the quality was phenomenal. And Boni, you explained it really well. We have 20 people who joined us in the beginning. They are still with us after 1 hour for an online session.
Thank you so much,
everyone. If this would have been a physical event, I would have asked everybody to get together for a group photo to give your best shot, because I use these group photos for event poster. Thank you so much. And with this, I will end this webinar. I'll upload the recording tomorrow. Thank you so much, Boni.
Thank you.